Hi everyone, Dave Senior here. Today we're taking a look at the philosophies we learned in class and how they relate to the Ministry of Education documents here in Ontario. As you know, we've gone through many different philosophies in class, and I've decided to make this video explaining these relations to you guys. But before I do, I want to show you another component I have for the assignment, which is my philosophy macaroni necklace. So I've made this necklace with each of the noodles to represent a different philosophy we learned in class, and I'm going to wear the necklace to represent how I'm taking these philosophies and incorporating them into my own life and my own education teachings. So before we get into the three documents and all of the different philosophies that we have, we're going to take a look at my personal philosophy that I wrote at the beginning of this course. And at the end of this video, we're going to take a look at my revised philosophy of all of the things that I've learned and how far we've come.
My educational philosophy involves reaching every student by incorporating lessons from the Ontario Curriculum Guidelines with the 8 types of multiple intelligences to create a fun and engaging classroom environment. Now we're going to start getting into the good stuff. We're going to take a look at the Ontario Education Ministry documents and how the philosophies relate to them, starting with Ontario's Education Equity Action Plan, which was developed in 2017. The central goal for Ontario's education system is to ensure equity. Every student should have the opportunity to succeed academically or personally, regardless of their background, identity, or personal circumstances. Ontario's Education Equity Plan identifies and eliminates discriminatory practices, systemic barriers, and bias from schools and classrooms. All school boards have developed equity and inclusive education policies that include religious accommodation guidelines and procedures for students and staff to report incidents of discrimination and harassment.
The first philosophy noodle represents idealism, which we know is created by ancient Greek philosopher Plato.
Plato had a theory that everything around us in the physical world that we see and experience is just a reflection of a higher truth. Plato called that truth the abstraction. He believed that ideas are more than real physical things and develop into a vision of two worlds. The first world, of physical changing objects, and the second world of unchanging ideas. This abstract way of thinking is helpful as educators. It allows us as teachers to think at a higher level and consider critically not just what's in front of us, but also what ideas are influencing us. The philosophy of idealism simply boils down to thinking up rules to describe the universe and trying to fit data into this theory. It is in this way that idealism relates to Ontario's Education Equity Action Plan, as it pictures an ideal world that we're trying to fit this data and statistics that we have into it.
The second philosophy noodle on my necklace represents Hinduism. Let's take a look at how that relates to the Ontario Education Equity Action Plan.
Hinduism is linked by a shared concept of cosmology, rituals, and pilgrimage to sacred sites. Hinduism depends on shared textual resources that range from philosophy, theology, mythology, yoga, and even temple building. Hinduism prescribes the eternal duties such as honesty, refraining from injuring living things, patience, forbearance, self restraint, and compassion. A key concept in Hinduism are the four proper goals or aims of a human life. A main concept of Hinduism is karma and the consequence of a person's actions. In this way, we can relate this philosophy to Ontario's Education Equity Action Plan and the way that we treat one another and we are striving for an equitable school environment.
The third philosophy noodle represents Confucianism.
Confucianism revolves around the pursuit of finding unity between humanity and heaven. The philosophy of Confucianism is present in Ontario's Education Equity Action Plan. The purpose of the action plan is to find unity in our school system and ensure all students have the means to succeed. Respect for one's parents and the care and concern for other human beings and the great moments in life are the pillars of Confucianism and the Ontario Education Action Plan. Next, we're going to move along to the Ontario Curriculum Grades 11 and 12 Technology Education document, which was made in 2009. The technology education program in grades 11 and 12 have been designed to allow students to choose courses that relate to their interests and will prepare them for further study or work in that technology field. These include university and college prep, workplace prep, and open courses. Technology education courses may be delivered as destination related courses that emphasize a particular area of that subject and or can be delivered as multiple credit courses. I myself had a double period communication technology class in grade 11 that specialized in script writing and film production, which has come in handy during this program, let me tell you.
We're going to move on and take a look at the Ontario Curriculum Grades 11 and 12 Technology Education document and how Philosophy Noodle number 4, realism, relates to it.
Realism is the theory that every universe and everything in that universe exists in reality independently of what we can comprehend. Aristotle believes that the world exists independently of the mind and claims that truth consists in a correspondence between cognitive representations and reality. The main principles of realism are observation, science, and common sense. Aristotle believed that knowledge proceeded from the experience of the senses. In this way, we can relate this philosophy to the Ontario Curriculum Grades 11 and 12 Technology Education document.
Noodles 5 and 6 represent pragmatism and instrumentalism, which go hand in hand together.
John Dewey was an American philosopher whose theories and ideas have been influential in society and education reform. Along other philosophers, John Dewey is attributed to the origins of pragmatism. Pragmatism is the theory that practical consequences are an essential basis for determining meaning, truth, or value. It's true because it works, and learn by doing are main concepts of pragmatism. Instrumentalism is the view that ideas are useful instruments. Their theories are the tools in which we know reality. With these philosophies of learn by doing and theories are tools which we know reality, we can understand how it would relate to the Ontario curriculum guidelines for grades 11 and 12, as technology is a very learn by doing educational process.
Noodle number 7, and my favorite noodle, represents constructivism.
Constructivism is an approach to learning in which people create their own knowledge through experiences. Our good old friend Gene Piggott and his theory of cognitive development is the foundation of constructivism. The constructivist theory suggests that learning is accomplished best by using a hands on approach. Learners learn by experimentation and not by being told what will happen. They are left to make their own inferences, discoveries, and conclusion. Lev Vygotsky developed social constructivism, which suggests a child's cultural development has two parts: a social level between people and an individual level within the child. The philosophy of constructivism is evident in the Ontario Curriculum Grades 11 and 12 Technology Education document. Technology education involves students creating their own knowledge through hands on experiences. Lev Vygotsky's concept of scaffolding is an effective teaching strategy that I implement in my classrooms alongside the Ontario curriculum for all my high school classes. Finally, we'll be wrapping up with the Supporting Minds document, which was made in 2015. Supporting Minds is a guide to help teachers promote and understand the mental health of all their students. It helps educators identify students who may be experiencing mental health problems and outlines ways in which we can all work together towards the well being of students. It offers suggestions for discussing mental health with parents and students. It also provides information about the types of mental health problems children and youth may experience, including the signs, symptoms, causes, and frequency of different types of problems and their potential impact on student learning. By learning from the Supporting Minds document, educators can create strategies to enhance their students' ability to function at school. These include understanding child and youth mental health and addiction problems and the causes, being able to observe the signs and symptoms of these problems while being considerate of the student's privacy. It is also important to support children who are receiving treatment or are more at risk of mental health or addiction problems, such as immigrant and refugee children and youth. Educators have crucial roles to play in supporting students' mental health and well being, which starts by getting to know the students. When you have created a positive classroom environment, it will be a safe place for students and parents to talk about mental health.
Philosophy Noodles 8 and 9 go together as existentialism and phenomenology.
Existentialism uses philosophical inquiry to explore the nature of existence through the experience of the living, feeling human individual. Phenomenology uses philosophical inquiry to explore the structures of consciousness as experienced from a first person point of view. This includes all things that appear in our experience, or the ways we experience things, and the meanings we give the things we experience. Therefore, existentialism and phenomenology go hand in hand when examining the experiences that make us human. Existentialists believe that existence precedes essence, which means that we exist and must give our own lives meaning. With this part of the philosophy in mind, we can relate existentialism and phenomenology to the Supporting Minds educational document, as giving our lives meaning is important to mental health of students and faculty alike.
Philosophy Noodle number 10 represents Buddhism, something I actually am quite familiar with.
Buddhism encompasses a variety of traditions, beliefs, and spiritual practices largely based on the original teachings attributed to the Buddha and resulting interpreted philosophies. The ultimate spiritual goal of the Buddhist path is to achieve nirvana through various practices. In this way, the Buddhists believe they can overcome suffering and fully comprehend the cycle of death and rebirth. One of the main practices of Buddhism includes meditation to create yourself free of desire. This free of desire part of the philosophy is what we can relate to the Supporting Minds Government of Education document, as becoming free of desire is tantamount to the recovery process of someone dealing with addiction problems.
Philosophy Noodle number 11 represents Taoism.
Taoism is a philosophical tradition in Chinese culture that emphasizes living in harmony with the Tao. The Tao, or the Way, is the principle that is the source, pattern, and substance of everything that exists. Taoism is different from Confucianism not by expecting as rigid rituals or social order, but is similar in the sense that it teaches the various disciplines for achieving perfection by becoming one with the unplanned rhythms of the universe called the Tao. The Taoist three treasures comprise the basic virtues of compassion, moderation, and humility. It is within these three virtues of compassion, moderation, and humility that we can relate to the Supporting Minds document from the Ministry of Education, as compassion, moderation, and humility are important facets of mental health.
The final philosophy noodle, number 12, represents behaviorism. Let's take a look at how it relates to the Ministry of Education document Supporting Minds.
Behaviorism is a theory of learning that states all behaviors are acquired through interaction with the environment. This is called conditioning, and behaviorists believe that our responses to the environment are what shape our actions. Ivan Pavlov created the principles of classic conditioning, which has become a key concept in the development of behaviorism. The philosophy of a modern behaviorism can be found in the Supporting Minds document. Ivan Pavlov's original concept of behaviorism used conditioning, which led to the corporal punishment of misbehavior in schools. Nowadays, it is recognized that students need to be treated with care and compassion. We can now recognize deeper issues in the student may be struggling with that is affecting their emotional state. Common treatments typically include the use of psychosocial interventions, psychotherapy, and or medication. When a student is receiving treatment for diagnosed mental disorder, educators need to work closely with the student's parents and with mental health professionals in order to understand how the treatment is being provided and how it may affect the student's functioning at school and determine how educators at the school can best support the student. This is behaviorism and conditioning in a positive way that helps the students develop the support they need to live a happy life while managing their mental health problems.
I've learned so much about philosophy during this program, but before I wrap things up today, I'd like to take a look at my new revised philosophy statement.
My revised educational philosophy is to establish a safe, creative, and hands on classroom environment that takes my students' interests, aptitudes, and mental health into consideration.
Thanks so much for watching. I'm Dave Sr. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I love to talk about philosophy and education documents. I hope I've given you something to noodle over, and we'll see you all next time.